God's thoughts are not our thoughts, and God's ways are not our ways, says the Lord. And we can be glad about that, because our thoughts are too often short-sighted, tunnel vision. We just see a little bit of it. An example of that would be like with money. Get a credit card. Woohoo, got a credit card. All right? And you figure out that, hey, I want that, don't need it, but I want it, and what the heck, they'll pay for it later. So we buy stuff. And then we end up in credit card debt. There's a lot of credit card debt in the United States. You buy now, it's like, oh, I was kind of short-sighted because now I'm going to pay all this interest. And it's going to take a long time to pay that off. That's short-sighted. Or with our health. We know that diet and exercise and enough sleep is the right way to stay healthy. But sometimes we get, distracted by other things. Like, I'd rather lie here on the couch and eat Doritos and drink beer and watch the Vikings win. Yeah. Vikings. Okay. She has a Packers shirt on, so I just said so. Okay. But that wouldn't be so bad, but then we stay for the next game, and then the next game, and then we, end up getting unhealthy, or we work too hard and we don't get enough sleep, and so that's short-sighted, or it has to do in our relationships. I'm not going to forgive you. I will never forgive them for what they did to me. Well, I don't know why somebody want to do that to themselves, to let somebody else's mistake control me. But we find it hard to forgive sometimes, so we carry it around, and that's short-sighted. Or it might be short-sighted, it is short-sighted, to want God to be fair, like in the gospel today. In the gospel today, some people went out to work at 6 in the morning, some throughout the day, and finally some at 5 p.m., 1 hour before quitting time. And what happened was that, as we heard, they all got the same pay. That's not right. I've worked hard all day long, and they've only worked for an hour. I should get more, even though I agreed upon the amount I got. I should get more. God's got to be fair. Well, might want to back off of that a little bit. What if we weren't the ones that came in at 6 o'clock in the morning, but came in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? How fair would we want God to be then? And you look at these people, the guys who went at 6 o'clock in the morning, oh good, I'm guaranteed of a day's wage so that I can go home, I can go to the marketplace, buy some food for my family, and we can eat tonight. That's great. And the guys who got hired at 5 o'clock, the whole darn day, there they are, thinking, my family didn't have much to eat today, and it looks like we're not going to get anything to eat. I didn't get hired at 9 o'clock or noon or 3. It's like, what am I going to do? My family's starving. Maybe, I don't know what I'm going to do. And finally you got hired at 5 o'clock and think, well, at least I'll be able to buy a little bit of bread on that little bit of money I'm going to get. Which one would you rather be? To work with the assurance during the day, in the heat of the day, that you're going to eat that night? Or to be distressed, thinking we're going to starve again? Which would you rather be? First one's one I'd rather be too. I'm working, but I know. Do we want God to be fair? And of course, this isn't a primer for how to give just wages to the labor. This is about God and how God looks at us. And if we were the ones who kind of lagged all life long, and then right at the end we finally found faith and religion and a relationship with God, would we want to be included? Well, of course I would. Or if someone I loved, or maybe a child of yours, has been away and gone off, would you want them included if they were last-minute converts back to the... Would you like them to get in? Well, of course we would. So we don't really want God to be fair, do we? That's short-sighted. We want God to be generous. And he is, because God's ways are not our ways and God's thoughts are not our thoughts. God's way is this, that he loves each of us. He loves each of us equally. He looks at these laborers all day long equally because they have the equal responsibility of feeding their family. Some get that taken care of early on, and some have to kind of dress themselves out during the whole day. But God says, I will give you what you need. He looks at us and loves us equally. He loves saints and sinners equally. I don't know if you think that's right, but I do know I'm not a saint. So I'm glad he loves saints and sinners equally. And he wants us to think more like he thinks and to act like he acts. Follow his ways and not our own. So, to think as he thinks would include something like this. Jesus said something like, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. All right? So, I'm thinking I'm going to say this kind of nasty thing to this guy. Except I wouldn't want someone to say that to me. So I'm going to zip it. God's ways are not our ways. God's ways are better. Or I have this habit of judging other people. But Jesus said, judge not and you will not be judged. So I'm going to let it go. It's not my place. How do I know? How do I know? I'm going to let it go. To think as God thinks and to act the ways that God acts. He loves each of us, each person in every pew. He loves us equally. And so what we might strive for, what we might pray for, is that we begin to think more like God thinks and to act more like God acts. As we said in that opening prayer, to live a manner of life after the fashion of Jesus Christ.